Okay, well, it is 10 o'clock Wednesday morning. Thank you guys for joining us online. If you're coming in late, that's okay. Nobody's online right now, but hopefully people will be joining.
There were a bunch of people trying to get in a minute ago.
That's the note takers.
Oh, okay.
Everybody has those Otter AI note takers, and I deny them all. They can get the notes from the Monday night email.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't actual people.
Well, this morning we have Willis, Richardson, and Gary Pearce.
Yep.
And they are from Pure Funding out in Weatherford, and they're such good-looking men with their hats on. And so I'm so glad they're here. Willis, I'm gonna give you the floor and let you do your thing, man.
We'll see you, Gary. He probably right. So yeah, Gary and I started the company a few years ago, 2022. So we're just over 3 years old. We were in the mortgage business for years before that. Gary's been doing lending type stuff since early 2000s. I did it in early 2000s, and then I pastored here locally for about 12 years. I came back to it. And so we have a lot of experience, have closed a lot of loans, and then kind of said, okay, we want to be able to do this here locally, because the company we were working for was across the United States lender. We were licensed in 15 states. We lived in Parker County. It was a local community, wanted to be part of that community. And during the time that we were there with the other company, I mean, I think we maybe closed 2 or 3 loans in Parker County. But the thing kept happening over and over. We'd talk to people and they'd be like, well, can you do this kind of property? And we'd be like, no. Can you do this kind of property? And we'd be like, no. And what we could basically do were conventional VA FHA loans. And you can actually do a lot with a conventional VA or FHA loan anyway, but there are a lot of limitations too, especially when you start to get to larger land purchases, when you start to get to fix and flip kind of loans, or somebody's self-employed and you can't get them qualified because they don't show the income on their tax returns. And so when we started Pure Funding, we wanted to keep our bread and butter of conventional VA FHA loans, and we do those. We will probably be 1/4 to 0.5% lower than any other local lender when it comes to rate, because we grew up in the business having to compete with very low rates. So just mentally, we kept doing that. Now, we're not as low as an online lender, but you don't have to deal with it. You can get something kind of in between online lending prices, but with a local feel with Pure Funding. And so that was what we started doing. But we also said we want to be able to do a lot of other stuff. This is Gary.
Sorry, I was talking to the pool guy.
Yeah. He's in the middle.
Tell my wife.
He's been trying to get a pool for a while now. So, hey,
Hi.
how are you?
How are you?
So, like I said, I want to just reiterate a bunch of times, we do conventional VA FHA loans, because what happens is people hear all the other stuff that we do, and then they think they can only use us when it comes to these weird things. And we do weird things, and I love the because it gives you a one-stop shop to get somebody close no matter what. One of the things that we did, because we were in Parker County, is we do land loans. Now, there's some caveats to that. It's not land loans for somebody who wants to buy something and subdivide it. It has to be highest and best use agriculture. Okay. Second thing is it needs a purchase price north of 700,000. Now we can do a loan up to 100 million. We can do. I always tell people, I want somebody to bring me the first one of these. I want to do a vineyard. We can do a straight up vineyard. You want somebody to buy a vineyard down in Fredericksburg? Come to us. You represent them. We'll get that thing closed. It'll be another pin in my hat. I still haven't got a vineyard. So just throwing it out there. But we do production agriculture loans. Now, what that looks like in Parker County is horse properties. People wanting to do buy land. Well, we can classify it as a coastal hay production. It doesn't have to be income producing to where they're making the profit and paying the mortgage with it. Majority of people buying land out in Parker County, they're a doctor, they're a lawyer, they're here in Fort Worth, and they're wanting a place out there. Right? Now we can also do with this loan hobby farms, and that's kind of a weird niche that a lot of people don't realize is an issue. So think a property that has 20 acres and a 6,000 square foot house, right? If you take that to a jumbo lender, they're going to have a 10 or 15 acre max. So they're not going to be able to do that as a jumbo loan. You take it to an ag lender, the value with a 6,000 square foot house is in the house. It's not in the land. They need the value to be in the land. And so it kind of falls into this weird area, and they want you to like take the house and survey it out with 1 acre and buy the house and then go to a land lender and buy the land. It gets real messy. We have a hobby farm loan that we can do these all day long. Nothing has to be divided out. It's a real simple loan for getting those kind of homes done. So hobby farms we can do, land over 700,000 purchase price, minimum 10 acres. You might say, how can you get highest and best use ag on 10 acres? A vineyard.
Just saying.
Just saying. We can't do hemp farms. So that's another way. That's
Yeah,
another
yeah.
cannot do hemp farms.
Yes, you know.
Yeah.
Until it's
until
legal,
it's
yeah,
legal.
in the United States and stuff. But yeah, classified. Very expensive. So that kind of is the ag lending. Then we also have an investor path. So we have your residential, we have the ag path, and then we have investor path. And with investments, we have 2 different products. One of them is the DSCR. So we've been doing DSCRs. They're starting to become more popular. How many have heard of DSCR? Awesome. Debt service coverage ratio. What it is it's a loan that doesn't look at the borrower's income. It looks at the ability of the property to cash flow. And so as long as the rent is higher than the projected rent is higher than the principal, interest, taxes, and homeowners insurance, and HOA if it's in there, then the loan's approved. Now they have to at least put 20% down. They have to have reserve requirements, extra money sitting around. It doesn't have to be attached to the loan in any way. They just want to know that you have 3 months of payments in case you get in a tight spot and don't have a rent. So really easy loans to do for investors. They're great products, and all these slides, they're in PDF.
I'll put them in the slide
They're
channel.
in the slide channel, so y'all will have those to look at and see the specifics on each one. The last one, fix and flip loans. So if you have somebody that wants to be the next Chip and Joanna, nice thing for y'all is you get the buy side on the front side, you get the listing side on the back side, so they turn into 2 deals. Now, the neat thing about these, once again, no income verifications, no asset verifications, and a soft credit pull. The whole loan has to stay under 75% of the after renovated value. You can put as little as 10% down, as long as the purchase price and renovation with 10% down stays under that 75% loan to value. And the reason they do that is so that there's enough room in there that if that house sits for a while, you can cut the price and still pay off the loan and make some money. The renovation budget goes 100% of your renovation budget up to 50% of the purchase price. So if you buy it,
So you figure out how much it costs to renovate and you get up to 100% as long as it's not more than 50% of the price.
yeah. So if
Okay.
you buy a house for 200,000, you can get up to 100,000 to renovate. It's not the way I think about it is it's a true fix and flip loan. It's not a buy the house, tear it down, and build something new.
So let's say for the 200,000, what would the investors all in for that, with 10% plus closing costs plus?
10% plus closing costs, and then they'd have the renovation. So you would have to. So it's not simple math when you use the 200, but 200 at 10% gives you 180 loan on just the building.
Right.
If you use 100,000, now you have a 280 loan. That means that you take 280, divide it by 0.75. I think it comes out to 367,000 or
So it has-
366.
that's the after.
373.
373. So it has to be. Yeah,
Your
if your ARV is over 373, then that loan works with only 10%. But at the same time, just because you're buying a $200,000 home doesn't mean you need 100,000.
Correct.
Right? You could find a 200,000
the
loan, but
max.
yeah, that's just the max numbers that you're using. So yes, they would be 10% down, so 20,000 into it. That's all the money that they have to tie up. And then you have 3.25 total origination, no appraisal. I think there's right under a $1,500 underwriting fee.
So just 10%,
10%,
skin in the game, that's it?
as long as the numbers work. You might have to put 25% if the numbers didn't work, but it's 10 to 25% down. I haven't done one yet where it hasn't just had to been the 10% down, but depending on that after renovated value, that's what's going to determine the down payment.
Which
So-
is a sliding scale.
Yeah, which is,
moment.
yeah, which can be, but yeah, so,
Yeah.
but yeah, the other thing that we do offer, I forgot to mention this with residential, is that we offer bank statement loans. So when you have the guys that, I mean, we have 3 right now, self-employed, on their tax return show that they make about $4,000 a month. When we use bank statements, it shows that they make about $16,000 a month. And now they're able to qualify for a $700,000 home versus a $100,000. So a lot of different options. We do a lot of self-employed borrowers. You know, but if you got those W-2 guys, we love those too. Just saying, just saying.
So on these 2 last ones you talked about, the DSCR and the flip and whatever, are they for original buyers, like when you first go in to buy?
Mhm.
What if you have an investor that wasn't able to sell the house but wants to get cash out and then rent it? Because they already flipped it with their own cash, now they're on cash.
Yeah, you can actually do it cash out on you do delayed financing.
They don't have any loans, so it can't be a refi, right? They
Yeah.
have no loan.
Yep.
You can
You
still
do it
refi.
cash out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cash out.
Not a HELOC, just a cash out. Okay.
So a HELOC, so when you think of cash out, there's 3 different types of cash outs. There's your cash out, which is you're paying off whatever's on the house, or in this case, just taking cash out.
Okay.
And it's a 30-year fixed note on whatever the balance is at the time.
Okay.
There's a HE loan, which is like a second lien on your house. So think of it as a second lien on your house, where it's a lump sum that you get and you start paying 20, 30-year amortized on that 200,000 that you took out. And now you have a mortgage and you have a second loan. And then you have a HELOC, which is you take out a line of credit like a credit card, and it's a line of credit on your house. Now, just so you know, so you're informed, lowest interest rate is a cash out loan. Second lowest is a second lien. Third lowest is a HELOC. So if you need a lump sum to do a pool or improvements and you're going to spend all that money right away, you want to do a cash out or you want to do a second lien. If you want access to, so I just closed on a HELOC. I only needed like $20,000, but I wanted to have a line of credit that was $200,000. So if something comes along, I have that money. That's when you use a HELOC, because it's going to be the highest interest rate and I'm going to have the highest payment, but I didn't need all the money right now. I just needed $20,000 to pay off.
Bank account.
Yeah, exactly. You can pull from and you can pay back and things like that. So that now everyone hears HELOC, and so when somebody talks to you about it, just say, yeah, look, there's some options. Talk to Willis. And I can go into it, but if they have questions, that's kind of a real quick summary on equity loans. And a great option to talk to friends that might have like a 2% interest rate. Have them do a HE loan, get some money, use it as a down payment on some investment properties or some fix and flip properties, and turn that equity so that it starts making money. And then y'all also have the benefit of representing them for buying and selling your house.
On those types of loans, because I've looked at them in the past, do y'all have the same like guidelines where it's like you can't borrow more than, what is it, it's 80%
on your
of-
primary.
on your primary, but it has to be more than $50,000. Do y'all have that? I
So-
know because it's not worth it for you guys to really not go below 50.
Right.
But
So in Texas, so Texas, on top of all the other things I just said, Texas makes home equity loans very hard because they passed constitutional laws, not just like laws, they passed constitutional amendments and put themselves in a really bad place actually put all of us in.
Absolutely.
In the guise of trying to protect home ownership, they did this. There's something that called points and fees.
Mhm.
And so you really can't make one work in Texas
Under.
for under 100.
Okay.
Yeah, for a second lien.
Got it.
Key lock, you could probably work. We also have a personal loan. We don't really advertise this, but we have a personal loan as well for somebody that, like somebody, let's say, needs $10,000 for their roof. As long as they have above a 700 credit score, we can do a personal loan as low as $5,000
Okay.
up to 100,000. And then that's not even a lien on their house.
Yeah.
And you're going to end up somewhere between a 7.99 and an 8.99 interest rate on that. So it's kind of like a credit card, but not that bad at all. And so that's really, we have to fill that gap for somebody that's in that situation.
Well, and the reason I've asked is because like I have a house kind of on the west side that I have equity in, but just not 100,000. Not actually probably about that now, but nobody would do it for under a certain amount. But I was like, well, if I can pull that out and put a down payment on a second property, that'd be great.
Yes.
I just haven't had anybody that's willing.
So what's your current interest rate? Yeah, probably. So you could run the numbers and see if you pulled out up to your 80% and refinance that as like a, let's say a
It'll put me
6.75.
out of my rent because I have a renter in there right
Oh,
now.
okay, you have a
so-
renter. Oh, so then you're capped at 75% with an investment property.
Well,
Max.
Well, I'm gonna,
pick a home store.
Melissa's QR code is right here for you guys to apply now. I'll put all of his information and Gary's information in Slack this afternoon, so you guys can email or text them, and we will get everything. That way they'll have everybody there. I'll put all your slides in there, put links to them, so everybody will have these slides in the brokerage announcements channel this afternoon. So, thank you guys for breakfast. Thank you for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Gary, it was very nice to meet you, not only in person. I had your picture up here last time. I'm sorry.
No, I haven't. They don't let me up there.
You know,
Thank
It's
you.
been a while.
So do you still,
Like
Willis,
the last
do you
time
get
we
the,
talked,
what you talking about, Willis?
all the time. Did you know on a billboard on I-20, we put that up for a year? What you talking about, Will? That said, your funding?
Yeah.
We've looked at a few that just.
Thank you.
Yeah, I embrace it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did good on that one. And it's-
But it took a while.
Yeah, we put it on the market.
And you guys you don't have to leave. You're welcome to stay for the whole meeting if y'all want to, but you're welcome to leave if you need to, okay? So today, we're gonna get all of our core values real quick. We're doing one sentence on the core value because I want to remind you guys that of all the things, one sentence, one statement on each core value. Now, the reason that I'm doing this is because we usually go into a core value and we try to do this and I spin it. That's all fine and good. Some of them don't get used very often because they don't really apply to the situation that is happening in the office that week. But these are the things that we believe as an office. Do we always attain these? No, we do not. But it is our goal, it's in our core that we want to do these things. So I'm going to hit these real quick. We are faithful to the idea of restoration. It is the heart behind all we do. We are deeply committed to the peace and prosperity of our city. We believe that being clear is kind and communicate with radical candor. We reject the status quo and encourage innovation. We are a team of leaders and problem solvers, never bringing a problem without solutions. We value people and principle over profits.
Angela, I got you.
I'm sorry,
Angela,
you shared it? Okay.
sorry.
We take extreme ownership for both the success and failure of any project and role we are tasked with. We practice the art of prioritize and execute because all things are not of equal importance. We are fanatical about having fun while we work and do not take ourselves too seriously. We are fans of feedback. Mistakes are opportunities to grow. We believe faith and family should come first and our precious gifts to be savored. We will always create margin for both. We intentionally keep our team small and curated, always partnering with and rewarding the right people. We are passionate about daily growing stronger, smarter, and more selfless. A lack of communication is a lack of performance. And the latest one that was just added 2 months ago is we ground our souls in truth before we move into action. These are the 6 core values. We believe that these are what make us and help us do our jobs better. So thank you, Jimmy and Jamie, for writing our core values. Headlines. Okay, next week, special class. Need everybody's attention on this. Normally we start at 9:45 for everybody to come for breakfast, and then we start the meeting at 10. Next week, the meeting will start at 9:45, so I would like you here by 9:30. We are having a CE called Understanding Title Commitment from the Baker firm, and William Adams from Guild Mortgage will be here. So I need everybody, if you can, show up at 9:30 for breakfast. Then we'll start the meeting, and I'll start the video at 9:45. The CE will start at 10. I don't know if there's money involved. It could be $5 or $10. So bring Venmo or $10 or something. But next Wednesday, on August the 6th, 9:30 will be what time we start eating.
Is that a contract related class, Cam? Is it
No,
considered towards?
title
Dang
commitment.
it.
I know.
One more hour of contract.
If your license is renewing in September, October, November, renew early. This new system's going to push in 40 days. For Trek, they're putting in a new system where all the licensing will be all online. It'll be easier. You won't have to like email documents. It's all going to be internal inside the system. As they switch the system over, there's a chance that some of people's licenses could get delayed being renewed. So if you're renewing in September, October, November, renew early. Fall, I've got a whole new batch of vendors coming. We've got a couple of repeats near the end, and I've got 2 open slots in December, which I'm going to fill probably today or tomorrow. But a whole new bunch of, we got some roofers coming. We've got, I'm going to hit this one down here at the bottom in just a minute. Brian Wright's going to be doing a class for us. So cool stuff. September, you're going to get a ping every morning at 8 o'clock because it's Realtor Safety Month. And you get the little graphic that says, here's a helpful tenant from NAR. So on Slack, 8 o'clock every morning in September, it's already all done. All the things are there. You're going to get a ping at 8 o'clock. Do not forget to do the Google Ever review, please. Philip or Jamie will be reaching out if you haven't done one because they're going back and checking. I'm watching things happen every day. Next big thing's coming. Reach Out training on week after next. So Reach Out will be joining us at about 10:20, and they're going to do like a 40-minute training, and hopefully it won't be the same thing we went through with Willis. Blood drive, August 20th.
And Jamie's getting you the graphic.
Yeah, Jamie's getting the graphic, so we'll have that out soon. Party on the patio on September the 13th. And then there is a new appraisal form coming. They're changing, they've been slowly putting this into place nationally, but it's going to come into fruition at the end of September. Then they had till the end of the year to start pushing it. Brian's going to do a class on it. This is what the new appraisal is going to look like. And so it's good. They're trying to make it easier to read. Obviously, I couldn't make it any bigger than this because you can't see it, but this will be in Slack on my slides so you guys can see it. But it's got everything on the first page where you need to see it. And then Brian's going to go take the class for us in September, and then he's going to teach us in October so that we'll know exactly what we're dealing with on that. So Brian, in 6 hours, will be buying breakfast that morning from Taco Cabana. So, okay, let's do the DF. I've changed this a lot. I really got really deep. I've got a whole spreadsheet built now, and I'm using AI to pull numbers from MLS to update my spreadsheet, and then this will update. I know it's crazy, but this is really important. I want you to see the pulse. I want you to see the speed of the market. That's what this slide is really designed for. The national market update, that's giving you some really big, lofty things to think about that are ethereal. This is real time, week to week. We're going to watch what the speed of the market is in these counties. So this is a new graphic. Last week, we had 49,440 SFRs in our MLS. This week, we have 48,728. That's shrinking slightly, 700 listings. Now, whether they sold or went off the market, I'm not tracking. There's no reason for us to track that because we want to see the speed. And you can see Dallas, Denton, Parker.
The speed of sold is that.
No, we're looking at the speed of active. We're looking at the speed of
We
listings.
would rather have the speed of sold.
That's right. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. What we want to see is, I'm going to look at Tarrant County. So they're down 1.32% week over week. Actives are down 1.3%.
So it should say that on the side.
In my
It does in red. It's in red,
Minus, yeah.
it's negative. If it's in green, it's positive. Wise County went up 1.36%. Right here, these two numbers.
No, I meant listings, not sold. That's okay.
Yeah.
Now I get it.
Yeah, well, SFR actives,
Oh, there it is, not up. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay.
and then under 500,000, we have 4,500. Under 500, we have 1909, 958 price decreases. That's almost 15% of the market decreased their value in Tarrant County, which that's up 1.92% from what it was last week. Does that make sense?
So you're doing this, the look back 1 week ago.
That's, we're looking, because in real estate, we can only look backwards.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So
I
we're,
think that's
but we're
right.
looking at a snapshot of 1 week of time in these particular counties and what is actually happening. My thought was that as listing agents and as buyer agents, measuring the speed of what everybody else is doing without actually knowing what they're doing gives us an added benefit to know whether we ask for a lot of closing costs or if we get a buyer involved. Does that make sense?
Yes,
It really helped.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the point of me doing all this. And this does take about 2.5 hours to do just that one slide because of getting it all set up and getting it, hopefully next week. it'll
But now
be
you're
30
set up
minutes.
though.
I'm working on it.
Okay, my dumb brain is really trying, I'm really trying.
Okay, Danielle.
I'm really
Hit me,
trying.
hit me, hit me.
So I'm gonna just look at Tarrant County.
Tarrant County.
Because that's what I care about right now. So it's showing that single family resident actives coming on the market, correct?
This is the
Yeah,
the
they're
number
on
of
the
houses.
market.
This
It's
is
on the market. So it has gone down by 1.32%.
Week over week.
week over week.
Okay. Why does that matter?
Well, because what it tells us is that either people are delisting, which is
Okay.
what we're hearing nationally, people are delisting,
Okay.
or they're selling or going under contract.
Or not listening.
Or, but the number of houses has gone down 1.33%
So that's the key
week over week.
Right. So I guess in my brain, like I'm trying to, you're putting obviously time and effort into this. So how can I use that information
Well,
with my clients?
so if somebody's gonna call you and say, hey, I wanna list my house, and I wanna list it for $5,000 or $10,000 above what I think what it would appraise for, you can tell them, our market is actually not set up for that right now.
Right.
Because our market is actually gone down slightly. That means there are slightly less houses for sale, but then you have this number that says there's 4,500 houses under $500,000. If you're in that category, why are you gonna overprice at all?
And then you've also got 15% of all of these
Have-
that have that price decrease.
That's the thinking, is just to give you, just so, and you may not use any of this stuff this week.
No,
But-
but it's, I just want to, like I said, I want to be able to use these things because although my brain is not this way, I have like I have a lot of engineers, I have a lot of attorneys that they want to know this stuff.
Mhm.
So, okay.
Ryan, do they have a word like is it trailing 2 or 3 weeks at all?
No, I'm generating all this.
Okay.
We can look at once a month, we have from Greater Fort Worth, we get that graphic, and actually, I did for you. So this is the Market Watch. You all have access to this on your homepage on MLS. I am literally just pulling these things for the individual counties, showing you on a bar scale what it looks like in each county. So if we're looking at just Tarrant, this week, in the last 7 days, we have 627 new listings and 963 price decreases. The solds are closed right here at 477. So if this number is always the biggest, then the market is pulling back.
Well, what's interesting about this too, though, is that there's only 9 withdrawn and only 75 put on hold. So I mean, that does show that things are moving.
Yeah,
Like,
but then this is all 5 of these counties combined. So you guys can stay everybody's way. Keep my hat out of the way. But this is these 5 counties combined. This is all these numbers together, and it shows you a really good, at least mental picture of what is going on in the market. Yes, ma'am.
So do we as agents have the ability to pull raw data just like we did?
Everything that I pulled right now is from our MLS. Now, I did yesterday,
it's right here.
I did apply for.
No, raw data, numbers, not graphs.
Yes, you can go to,
We can talk about it at 11 o'clock.
Is it
Okay, well, yeah.
Hey, go back 2 slides really quick. If you're doing
No,
this
that's
weekly,
fine.
can you just keep the last 3 of these? And just on each one, hey, so for next week, you have this slide and then the new slide, and then this slide, new slide. New
Oh, okay,
slide.
sure.
Keep the last 3 weeks, because week to week, it's it's kind of, you can't see a trend, you know
Huh?
what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, if I'm reading this, like, if this was the same trend, if I saw -1, -1, and I saw +1, +1, -1, +1, then what all of it means is, hey, things are moving, they're being sold, only because everybody's decreasing in price. So everything is inflated.
3-week trend?
Yeah, but you'd be able to see, because if this is if you read it this week and you just come 1 week, and then you don't come the next 2 weeks, and this is a
So you want to trend it.
plus
Absolutely.
6%, and then a -3% for the next 3 weeks, then this is nothing good. But this is going to give you a good snapshot.
Well, what I'll do then is I'll make this slide, I'll take this, and I'll make 3 of these and do this week, last week, 2 weeks
I
ago.
think-
Then this will go on another slide, and we'll just do 2 slides.
Yeah, I
Get
think
those
that'll be
trends.
a good, because really, I mean, in real estate, you're really only looking at the last month.
Yeah.
I mean, because everything can change.
Oh, it changes all the time.
So you're really
That-
looking at the last-
That's, go back one.
Pick one.
That one to me makes more
More
sense
sense
in
in my
my
head.
brain.
That's why I put it there.
Yeah, because I
Because
have to
This is a
see,
visual representation of what I told you in the first slide.
yeah, because I have to look at, okay, well, what percentage sold,
Withdraw,
which
hold.
withdraw,
Well, no,
hold,
what's-
went under
yeah.
contract.
Do you like this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like
I
that.
Interesting on this is it's like, you've got obviously a handful that have come off the market for whatever reason, but like, you had 1757 come on the market, and then between the active kickout, active option, active contingents, like that's a really small number, but the number of pendings and closed.
So 2,600.
That's
Yeah.
a good
But that's
number.
5 counties too.
Right, but even
Still,
compared to the new
yeah.
listings, you've got more closings and pendings, or not more, but if you
Well-
combine those two,
And that goes back to,
To me, you just have a lot of stuff sitting.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But,
That's all that
but that also combining all that in your brain and looking at this part right here, where out of 140,000 calculations, we lost 700 houses between this number and this number.
Lost as.
There were 49,440 for sale last week. This week, there are 48,700. We lost 700 somehow, actives.
But it's important to know how where those 700 went.
But that's what the graphs tell you.
Yeah, that's what I'm
They-
saying.
they
That's why
sold.
that to me is,
Yeah. Well, I was trying to get
Yeah,
everybody their own way of seeing it.
Yeah.
Just that's the way, but I love Jim, I love that idea, Jimmy. Thank
Are
you.
y'all also using the trends tab on your MLS?
yes.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
yeah, that, okay, cool.
No, what's that do?
I mean,
Shows you
Yeah.
trends.
Okay.
It's just another way
I'll
of
give
looking
you
at
that.
it. But I think- I know that you all can go and pull all this data yourself and you can look at trends. I know that some of us don't. And so
But just
seeing
for a
it,
high level.
seeing it at a high level in one week, once a week, it just keeps your mind very attuned to what the market is doing. So when you're having conversations, you know what the mark's doing. You know, that when somebody says, how's the market? You can go,
Let me go pull up my broker.
Are you a seller? You're
Okay.
there, you're good.
Yes.
National market, sales of new family homes kicked off the summer buying season, small gain in June. Best news, median sales price has fallen nearly 3% of the past year, almost 13% below the 2022 peak. June sales of existing single-family homes dipped a tad. Condo co-op sales were unchanged. Good to see existing home inventory nearly 16% higher the past year, approaching the 5-month supply, which makes it a normal market, a balanced market. 5 to 7 months of inventory makes it a balanced market. Plus home sales overall should improve going forward as applications for purchase mortgages on an unadjusted basis increased 4% over the prior week, 22% higher than last year. Bull run, propelled by earnings momentum, improving trade prospects, Wall Street bulls sent stocks higher for the week. S&P 500, NASDAQ extended their record-setting streaks. Last week's deal with Japan dropped tariffs from 25 to 15%, featured $550 billion of Japanese investment in the U.S. Increasing clarity on tariffs is helping companies plan and resume their investment spending. S&P Global PMI reads for July showed manufacturing activity slightly contracting, but the dominant services sector increasingly expanding. Low initial jobless claims and indicating a solid labor market. This week, the Fed is meeting. Home prices, contracts, construction, spending, inflation, jobs in the Fed. Gains keep moderating in both May and the Case-Shiller and FHFA. Analysts increased the June pending home sales measure of signed contracts on existing homes will post a gain. It's good. Construction spending should increase overall for June, and we'll check the residential part. Economists predict the PCE prices will show modest inflation and new non-farm payrolls will grow in June. No one expects the Fed's rate decision will be a rate decrease, a rate cut. Nobody's expecting that, but it could happen. We don't know. Last week, this is the blanket rate. I'm sure that Willis and Gary have better rates than this, but last week we were at 6.77. As of yesterday, we are the exact same 30-year fixed at 6.77 compared to March, 6.81. So rates are still hovering in the mid sixes. This is it. You don't need to do more. You just need to be more intentional with what you're doing. When you pause long enough to clarify your intention, you bring in a different energy, one that reflects your values, not just your to-do list. When your attention is scattered, so is your power. Me as a young man, I was a multitasker. Me as an old man, I try not to multitask because I get lost.
It's a lot.
It's so much better if I focus and get something done. Did you know buyers are getting more bargaining power and more options? Duh. In June, active listings on Zillow had a 5-year high and almost 27% had a price cut. Highest share for that month since 2018. That's Zillow nationwide. As we looked in our 5-county snapshot, 14.5 have reduced in the last 7 days in the measurements.
So wait, so 27 has price cut. 5
Zillow national.
Okay. But this
15% DFW local.
Right.
Okay, so this is session 8 of the investment discussion top 10 agent tips. We're going to skip 2 weeks because for next week we have the CE. The week after that we have pre-chat. I'll come back and finish with 9 and 10 the 3rd week in August. So there'll be this thing that we've been going through all summer long. We'll finish it before summer ends and we start our fall season in September. But your success in real estate is directly tied to your personal growth. Seek out opportunities to learn and improve, such as, and then I put our core value, which we are passionate about daily growing stronger, smarter, and more selfless. Because if you're investing in yourself, you're investing in your clients. How do you do that? Continue education. Thank you, Gary.
Bye.
Stay updated on industry changes and trends through courses and certifications. For example, learn about green building certifications for luxury property sales, get certifications and designations. My former broker never got any designations. No, he never got any letters behind his name, and it confused the crap out of me why he didn't do that. Not saying it was bad. He just chose not to take any of those classes. He would do his CE and get his license renewed on regular classes. These are all my designations.
Wow.
Kind of expensive.
Some of them are, but like the CLHMS, the Certified Luxury Marketing Home Specialist, they email me twice a week and want me to pay $250 to rejoin the program. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
ABR was free last fall. It's really only like a $200 class to get the ABR.
But technically you can't keep those behind your name if you don't.
Correct. I don't put them on anything except when it goes underneath my signature. It says see my certifications. You click that, it goes to a PDF, and that's the only place it says.
Right, because
Okay.
usually certifications are an ongoing thing. So, right, you keep it up.
Or you pay
can.
to
Most of
keep it up.
these,
Same racket, different career.
most of these, when you pay for the certification, you keep the letters. So ABR, accredited buyer representation, CDPE, certified distressed
What do you
property.
mean you keep the letters? Because certifications has a certain requirement.
Once you take the class and you get these letters right here, you don't have to pay anything else to keep them.
Oh.
ABR, CDPE, Certified Luxury Home Marketing Specialist. ePro is a great class through NAR, Electronic Professional. It's like $75, $50, cheap, get the letters. Green, obviously the green designation. GRI, that's one of the hardest. That's 3 30-hour classes for GRI.
No, what is it?
Graduate Realtor Institute. It goes way deep in 3 different. You spend 3 weeks doing those classes. MRP, Military Relocation Professional. PSA, pricing strategy analyst, real estate negotiation expert, and senior residential specialist.
Oh, I like that. Is that?
For senior citizens.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just kidding.
I think that one's actually a seller representative.
So is
Senior
there one for-
is something different.
Oh, so there is one specifically.
For seniors, absolutely. Okay,
Yeah.
mentorship, surround yourself with experienced professionals who can offer guidance and support, join a team, or attend networking events to connect with potential mentors. Attend office meetings. That's a great way to surround yourself with experience. Watch the Slack, 6th Avenue YouTube, learn from others. The things that happen in our Slack channel can be so beneficial to everyone. That's why we want all the questions to go through there, because I learn stuff sometimes. Ray will pop on and show me something. I'm like, I didn't think about that, Ray. That's a really good point. Programs like the docent training. If you haven't started the docent training, watch through it. Pick ones that you like. It's real simple. It's just a video. It's a lady talking. She's got some things that are really good, some that are kind of but it's still really, it's 18 hours of training that you have access to for free. Okay? Brian Buffini's 100 Days to Greatness, a lot of you have taken that one. Pathway to Mastery, when I asked if anybody wanted to do it, Mr. Andrew was the only one that said he wanted to do it. So we're probably not going to do it this fall. But there's also the Certified Full Service Professional designation that Brian Buffini offers, which was a pretty good class, and they have really good content after the fact. But those things are really good. At this point, I'm done with my class. And Jimmy, you out there? Well, hey, Jimmy, you want to do your wins? Jimmy has agreed, of course, to come and do wins, lessons, mistakes, and shout outs, because I really enjoy this part of our month that we do. It's usually the last Wednesday of a month. And I think it's important for us to see those things. And so, Jimmy, floor is yours, brother.
Yeah. So last month, we did mistakes, like biggest mistake or like biggest lesson you learned. This one, so I want to go back maybe even a couple months. Biggest win in face of diversity, of like the biggest win in face of like, this was a hard deal. This was a hard client. So give us a situation, and then like a little, cherry on top of how it ended. So it didn't end well, not asking to share that one. You can share that one, but so not necessarily the biggest lesson, but the biggest win in face of adversity or face of like complications, in face of just, man, this is just such a pain in the butt, but it came out well. It was a big win for me personally. So anything you got there?
I had my listing in Arlington that was fine. The client was fine. The house was fine. Showings were fine. Like everything was fine. It was a referral to me from another agent. So obviously, like, take that off the top already. If you get the house under contract, you can already kind of tell the other agent on the other side was like, he sent me a text that was like, deal or no deal, deal or no deal. And I was like, it's 9 p.m. Like, but yeah, we've got a deal, sure. So just kind of from the beginning was a little.
How do you always give me
I don't know. So y'all don't have to. Thank you. Yeah, and then it just kind of went from there. And like learning opportunities for me, learning opportunities, I guess, just for me. I had to get Jimmy involved. Like I ended up having to pay for a plumber and then a new faucet to be installed, and just to get things across the finish line. And then things with the buyer's agent got like very sideways. And I don't do that anymore. Like calling me, telling me I'm a liar, telling me I'm deceitful, telling me I'm manipulative, all these just crazy things. The buyer also decided, or my seller also decided to buy a house through Redfin. So like fired me on that side. Had to get Jimmy involved. Like Jimmy was able to kind of buffer between myself and the buyer's agent. And I guess the like happy ending to all of that was obviously it got sold. And my client at the very end was like, I'm not signing. Like I'm not doing it because the buyer's lender dropped the ball and we had to delay closing. So like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, to the point where my seller was like, screw it, I don't have to sell. I'll go back on the market. That's fine. Jimmy called me and was like, call her back. I call her back, talk her off the ledge, explain X, Y, and Z to her. And I called her back and she's like, thank you so much for calling me back. Talk to my brother, calm down. We'll sign the paperwork, tell them they need to come to my office, I'll sign. And just like, we got it done. I blocked the buyer's agent, so I haven't heard from him. But like my client was super happy. Like she was very happy. She got what she wanted out of the deal. And I lost years off of my life. I didn't make hardly any money off of it. But you know, it got across the finish line, and like I have several text messages from her just saying like, if anyone ever asks me like referrals, you do I recommend, no question.
And you're like, no, thank you. Why'd she send you that person?
So
None of your, I blocked her.
no. She and the seller was
She sent you the bad ones.
I never looked at the bad ones. But no, I mean, it ended up good. Like it ended up, my client's super happy, and that's, I think at the end of the day, what we want. Like I know I did well for my client, and that didn't necessarily make it all worth it, but it made me at the end be like, okay, it wasn't for nothing.
It was a win.
It was a win.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, I have a story on a short sale that I got involved in. My client bought a brand new home and less than 1 year later lost a job and had to move 6 hours away and can no longer live in this home. So of course we put it on the market for what he owed, plus closing costs, and then sat there for a minute. He stopped paying, he had forbearance, stopped paying his mortgage. So we went into a short sale. It was okay for him to do that because he had a forbearance, but we went into short sale, and then short sale just basically means now the mortgage companies can control the whole entire thing. We got a buyer. The buyer wasn't willing to wait until the mortgage company, you know, figured it out, which was months. And they must have waited like 75 days to get an answer on their contract. Finally, they backed out. And they were kind of like a really good buyer, like they had like more than 20% down and they were willing to wait. But then at some point we weren't getting any answers, and it didn't matter what we did. And I will tell you from the very beginning, I had Mary Elizabeth Collier from Elite Title. If you never worked with her, you're missing out. She's the only reason this whole entire thing went through, because a mortgage company gave me like a 13-page document of all the things we had to do whenever a sale came in. I did not know what any of that stuff even meant. So she would just figure it out and be like, hey, don't forget on page 25, you didn't do number 17 and you got to get that done or we're not going to close. Well, anyway, lost that buyer. And then I had to reduce the house even more. Now, mind you, the seller is my husband's best friend from 35 years longer than my husband has known me. He's known this guy. Well, this guy is very losing his mind. Like, screw it, the bank can just have it. I don't even care. I'm tired of paying utilities, because when you're in a short sale, you have to leave the utilities on. He didn't live there. He was living somewhere else. He did not care. Luckily, he got a job, or otherwise he wouldn't be able to even pay for utilities at 2 different locations, right? I mean, luckily he got a job. But anyway, so my next buyer actually was my own buyer who found the house because they were already looking on 2 roads in Springtown that all had houses that were $15,000, $20,000 more. So my own buyer ended up contracting the house, which I know you probably don't want to do because intermediary, but I did not have a choice. And I'll tell you what ended up working out in behalf of the positive for everyone except for Angela. There was a 6% listing agreement that the mortgage company agreed to pay. At some point, my seller was like, you're going to get 6%. I'm like, I mean, we could throw this whole thing down the drain right now if you want, and I'll just take my buyer to Saginaw and hopefully buy a $400,000 house. I'll make more money that way. I don't even care. So don't even start with, oh, you're going to get 6%. Dude, I'm getting your house sold. I've been working on this for 8 months. I swear, this is what happened to me. This is my husband's best friend, and I called my husband. I was like, you need to get your best friend under control. Like, it was a whole thing. Well, then literally 2 days before closing, we found out that he had put a $10,000 water purification system on the house when he moved in. $10,000. Why didn't he just go to Home Depot and buy one for $600? I don't know. But that put a lien on the home. The mortgage company said, we will not pay the lien. This deal will not go through if your buyer doesn't pay it. Well, my buyer didn't have $10,000 extra dollars. The only person that did was me. So then, and it wasn't 10,000. He had paid it down 1,100. I only had to pay 89.50. So Yeah, Mary Elizabeth Collier called me about 9 o'clock one night and said, have you considered putting any of your commission towards it? I've considered donating mine just so we can get the deal done. I said, are you on speakerphone? And she said, no. And so then I started cussing and I said, I've already been approached by the seller who thinks I'm getting paid too much. She said, I think you should get paid 18%. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. I just was wondering, don't yell at me. And I said, I'm just yelling around you. And I said, you're not going to put one dime of your commission towards this. I'm going to pay it. This is my friend. He's the one that wanted to buy a $10,000 water purification system and remove it from the house nonetheless. Yeah, he took it with him. So then I called him and yeah.
Wait.
Well, why would we?
Because the lien wasn't where the item had to stay attached. It was because the item had already been paid, but then they had a lien. It was like, if you have like a solar panel and you have solar panels for someone else. Yes, it wasn't attached to the actual item. Everyone's still friends. But then I told my client, I told my seller, I said, hey, did you know that the buyer is so-and-so's brother-in-law and he's a first-time home buyer and he's 38 years old, never bought a house and he has 3 children and they're more excited than anything to move in the South. He said, no, I didn't know that. I said, it's my personal friend referral. I said, I wanted to make this still work for him. I didn't care about all your drama. Like, you're the one that got yourself in this mess. I'm just trying to help out. So in the end, I have these 2 clients that think I literally saved the world. And all I did was keep some of the commission because I was going to lose it all. So I don't really feel like I saved the whole world. I did lose $8,900 in one day, which I did cry for about 45 minutes on the drive from the house to the airport. I had to go somewhere that day. But then after the airport, I prayed about it and got over that. And but it was tough. I learned so many things about short sales and just everything. And
So we'll go to you next.
yeah, I know the thing.
I'm done learning lessons.
But I also think that my title company was very instrumental in making sure that everything went through and did everything, checked all the boxes. Yeah.
Man,
Does that make you feel better?
No. I feel a little bit better about my life.
No, I wish.
Than I thought.
Yeah. There's always the next one, or Lennar's blocked me and.
Yeah.
You just send their praises too about.
I know,
him
that's
paying
what I get.
3%.
That's what I get.
It kind of makes you not want to talk about any wins, you know, if there's stuff like that.
No, but even on the flip side of like the
It is
crappy
a win.
Lennar.
It is a win.
Well, no, these people literally, I showed them in April, they called me back in July, it's still July, and they're like, hey, we want this house, let's do it. And it, like, we went under contract and it was closed 2.5 weeks later.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take that all day long, even if we have to delay a week because of
Yeah.
appliances. So,
yeah, the point of asking that question, it's a very specific question. I've asked it in like a lot of different groups and stuff. The point of it is like whenever you go through a lot of those, you always want to debrief after a really complicated deal. You debrief personally or with a team because there's always a lot of lessons. I mean, you could learn about short sales, you can learn about this, but you'll learn the most you'll learn is about yourself of like, hey, if I wanted to do this again, what would I do differently? And those are always good things to talk about. Like you guys could rattle off 20 different things, I'm assuming, on both ends. But what would also like, what we forget to do a lot of times is celebrate the wins in the midst of that. And we forget to celebrate like, you know what, at the end of the day, this was a lesson, which is a win, right? But there are going to be still little good things that come from it, especially whenever you're on the back end of a deal of like, hey, you might be still friends, you got some sort of commission, like your person still likes you, still want to do business with you. There are still like some positive aspects of a really negative or kind of adversity there. But anybody else have one?
I think I have a win. I don't know that it was crazy or anything like that, but I ended up getting a referral from a friend of mine. They sent over a client and started having a meeting with them. They're wanting to buy around like the $600,000 price range and also sell in that price range. And they had already met up with another realtor and started walking down that road a little bit, but they didn't go very far. And so I just asked them, like the normal questions, what are you looking for? Where are you wanting to move? When do your kids go back to school? What school district are you going to be in? What's the timeline? So I just started asking a lot of questions, and they had originally asked to go see a house first, which is not like the greatest way to start off a relationship is by showing them a house. And I kind of put my foot down. I was like, hey, let's meet up and have a meeting first instead of just being, somebody just flies. And I kind of put my foot down. I was like, no, let's do this first. And I did that first. And at the end of the meeting, she said that she had met up with another realtor, and she said, like, the other realtor didn't put any, like, this much legwork in. And then it came a week later, she said, hey, I want to go buy a new build, so I'm going to write your name down on it. Like, I had spent an hour with her.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm going to write your name down on all the contracts. Anybody I go, like, look in, because it did the work. And I was like, all I did was just ask, timeline questions and life questions. And she was loyal to me because of that.
That's pretty wow.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I felt pretty happy about that.
That's fine. Anybody else just have some just wins? Wins and joy. Last few months.
I sold some land in Cedarville, and the guy who went with me, he went with another agent because it was his brother referred this other agent to sell his house in Mansfield, and the agent was only charging 1%. And I'm like, that's my fees, not that low. I'm like, sorry, go with that agent if that's what you feel is appropriate. Well, at closing with the land that I sold for him at 3%, him and his wife asked me, they said, we want to fire this agent, we want you, so all the work that you put into it, and the house, or the land was only like 205, and his house that has on the market's like 700.
Oh, wow.
So it was like one of those things where I got to show him what I actually could do, and now but I think they're actually going to end up waiting for it to expire because it is a friend of his brother's, but it expires in October, so it's fine. But he's like, oh, that's good. Like things like that, when you do work hard, it really overall will work out for you.
Yeah. Might coach him differently. I need to get that off the market quickly. Quickly, I'll put it back on the market. If you can
I told
get it
him,
off in October, you might as well not even sell till
I know. I told him, I said I was going to send him some information, and I already started working on it as to why it would be best to go ahead and switch now.
Yeah.
But he's a man of his word.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to dig over this guy, which I get. But I'm like, in the end, if this guy hasn't done any open houses for him, not one. And I've sold a home in that neighborhood, and the buyer was from who came into the open house. And I pointed that out to him. And there's just he's not communicating properly with him. It's just a really, really bad deal overall with him. So he has reason to fire.
Okay. She's saying that.
So step forward so we can hear it. Please.
Like, actually, it's not that big a deal, bye.
I had a townhome and it closed like a month ago, but they had a listing agreement with a Redfin agent, and he called me while he was under this listing agreement because I had one for sale last year. He held on to my information in that same area. And so I said, I can't, he was trying to get advice from me, and he wanted me just to go in and listen. I can't, she was not going to let him out of his contract either. And so I said, just call me when it expires. And he called me like 2 days after it expired. He's like, okay, come over, because they didn't have really any showings. Like, no, nothing was really happening. So I went over and gave my little spiel, and I said, I always say this, like, you're not obligated to hire me, shop around. He was like, no, you're definitely the one. Got on the market, and I told him what they need to do to clean up. Got on the market. I want to say we were under contract within like 2 weeks because he listened to my advice. Closing was amazing. The agent was amazing. He's like, guys, I've got some really good luck lately.
You just listen, take it.
And we did, like, I helped fix a few things, and I'm pretty hands-on like that. And we made it happen. And then he's like, I was like, what is your next step? Obviously, I asked him that at the beginning. They're like, we're going to look for a rental. I can help you find a rental. Got $1,000 check on that, helped them find a rental, and they're just going to be super loyal at that point. But it was just a really great experience, and the fact that they held on to my information because I sold the other one so quickly.
How did they meet you?
Yeah, I had a townhome on the market on the corner right
And
behind
they
him.
just came to like an open house or something?
No, he just called me.
Okay.
He just kept my information. Oh, and then now his neighbor, who I met, she's lovely. Her name is Jo also. And I had met her when I put the sign in the yard, and she's like, I'm gonna be gone the next 6 months or so, so I'm gonna take with my daughter. You will definitely be. So it's just kind of, do I want to be driving to Arlington, mowing lawns and doing all that stuff every day? No, but I've just gotten a really great.
That's awesome.
I've got, if I could get a third sign in that same little division, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. You can tell, like, people can tell, like, whenever you're talking about, you were talking about that client, it's like, you can tell you care, you can tell you just like go the extra mile and you care about your client. People can feel that, even if you don't know, have all the answers and you don't give them the best service sometimes, you like mess up on something. Like, man, if you care like that, you always get referrals. Always. It's good. It's a good win. Anybody else?
I have, well, this is what y'all's stories. I have two in the past, past couple months, but one client that I already closed and then one client I'm working with that I'm their second agent. That the first one was in my small group at church. She had a good baseball family friend and they were working together, and she called me literally at 8 o'clock one night. She's like, hey, we've been working with this agent, but it's not working. And they're good friends. And she's like, so can you help us buy an investment property? And I said, yes. So that one already closed and funded. And she said, you will be our agent from now on. And then the second one was, my oldest was really great friends with a girl in elementary school. And we kind of like did life together when they were in school and everything. And then we moved away and they used another agent, a family friend. And the daughter reached out to me a month ago saying, hey, can you help me and my fiance buy a house? So that's pretty cool in itself, because I've known this girl since she was in elementary school. But now her parents, who I'm still friends with, now that I've got their daughter under contract, she called me. She's like, hey, our agent is kind of being pushy with the buyer rep agreement. We're not loving it. He helped my mom, and he helped us buy this last house, but you did such a great job with Ashley. We want you guys to now help us. So I've been showing them houses. So
that's awesome.
So it's kind of just a circle.
Yeah.
I was going to say something tag on that one. I went into a neighborhood pub crawl, my neighborhood, and this is where you just go around. Yes, I did. It's just where you go around and drink. But there's this one neighbor, and he was serving whiskey. He was serving old fashions. So by the time I got around the corner, the rest of the street, I'm just drunk. We're down there at the end. She got a big tag on it. I met this chick. I remember like my husband was inviting her to church, and I was like, she's like, church. And now we no longer teach that class. Anyway, but that's another story another day. Anyway, so I met I'll tell that story another day. It's so funny. It's Anyway, I friended her on Facebook just because I liked her energy. I thought she was a cool chick. I asked her first and last name, and I friended her on Facebook. 1 year later, she's divorced and hired somebody else in my neighborhood to sell her house. But that didn't work out. That lady didn't sell it. Then she randomly calls me like a year and a half after I met her at that pub call and was like, hey, can you come over and meet me at my house? Remember me from the pub crawl? I was like, yeah, I remember you. I did remember her, but I hadn't talked to her in a year and a half. She lives like 2 streets away from me. And I go over there. She has a glass of wine, an empty glass, and says, do you want a drink? I was like, yep. And she poured me a glass of wine, and I told her my spiel, and she goes, okay, you're hired. And she said, that other chick, she lives in our neighborhood too. And I was like, because I didn't even realize that it was another lady in our neighborhood. She goes, yeah, she lives here too. She didn't do a good job. You're the one. And I'll tell you, I was real nervous because I thought, okay, why didn't it sell the first time? What happened? Whatever. How can I make a better experience? I have been to this lady's house. Like she ended up, her grandma died. I had to go try to find a squirrel in her garage that she thinks she's stuck in there. I had to go clean up stuff to show it did die in the Christmas tree. I couldn't find it though, so she had to deal with it when she got home.
What is up with your
What
deal?
I went to different kind of crazy. ran in and she was right. I go, "Hey, it really stinks in your garage." And she goes, "Okay, well, if anyone comes to show it, just tell them don't go in the garage." Cause I wasn't gonna dig through the Christmas tree stuff, but anyway, it ended up being great and we have it under contract now. It isn't completely closed, but I feel like, and I now built a really strong relationship. She'll definitely report me there.
Janet, you got your hand raised?
Yeah, I was just gonna throw in there, I guess my win would
Wait, see
be, can you hear me?
So no,
Oh, hang on, Janet. I think I've got it muted. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to throw in my win. I had closed this last month on a listing. It was just a small one, but it was the 9th transaction for this family. And you never know where a relationship's going to go, but over the years they have kids and their parents move, and it just was a culmination type transaction. And I think the fun thing about it too was, well, fun, challenging, however you want to look at it. We got under contract and I could tell it was shaky from the beginning. They were asking for upgrades with the contract, like add another garage door opener, and there was they wanted to add some upgrades to the pool. I'm like, well, first of all, we haven't even done a repair amendment, and you're asking for money out of the seller's pocket. And I think we need to hold off on those things until we do, take an inspection and look at what the condition of the home is and make sure we've got our ducks in a row. And so I was able to kind of talk them through that, but I felt like, okay, I've got a young kid that's my buyer, and then I've got a relatively new agent there. And they really, they're kind of, I didn't feel good about it. In other words, I felt like it was kind of shaky from the beginning. There were other interested buyers. They just weren't as quick to put their offer on the table as this one was. So I really worked at keeping those relationships warm and the interest on them warm, just in case we fell apart. And sure enough, we did. We were able to get right back under contract within 24 hours and close a week earlier. And so you never know when difficulties arise, how it might actually be what's best. And so, and it ended up being so much better for my seller. So anyway, that was my 2 cents.
Thank you, Jana.
that's awesome, Jana.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. 9, who could beat 9 referrals? That's
all.
crazy.
That's
That is pretty
I
cool.
don't have none from the second, but,
Yeah, that's pretty
That'd
awesome.
be a fan.
Yeah, about 6.
That's
Yeah,
really
it
cool.
That's it for the meeting. Thank you guys very much for coming. Thank you for sharing with us. Hope you got some stuff out of it. I'll put some everything back on the brokerage announcements channel. Lots of links, lots of new good reads. If you're not seeing Monday night's email, please look in the good read section. There's some really good stuff that I'm finding for you guys. So please take a gander at that. Thank you for joining us. See y'all later. See you next week, August 6th, 9:30. Arrive early.
9:30.
Put it on your calendar. 9:30. Be here for breakfast. Thank you, guys.
Brian, you have time to go through these? Are you keeping recap with me?
Yeah.